And that leads me to one of the last topics I want to talk about. And it's, how do you feel, and I'm going to do a whole video on this, but how do you feel as a Marine who never saw combat? Because I think that's something, and let me preface it, that's something that's not talked about. I'm currently in a Discord group with like a couple of our buddies. I'll say names, but a few of our buddies. And I want to have everybody from my platoon on this podcast, by the way. You know, I'm in the Discord with 3 or 4 guys you know. And I kind of asked them that the other day. I was like, how are you guys doing? Like, how are you guys doing with this and that and the other? And, you know, it's like, how do you come from a tight-knit unit that is training for war and playing war games and war unit cohesion, discipline, you know, let's break them every once in a while to show that, and that was the motto of our platoon. Let's literally crush their soul every so often so they know who the boss is and we keep them in line. And so, you know, in a wartime, you know, they're leading by fear and all that, and fine, that's the method they chose, but always being so tight, wound up tight for war and never going, you know, being a Marine who never was in that, seeing and meeting Marines who were, and it's like, you wouldn't dare compare yourself to someone who did, but you're often in platoons with war veterans who saw combat and are messed up from it, and they're looking at you like we're looking at our sons. You with ice cream cones. You don't know how it is. You've never been there. You're a boot. You don't have your combat action ribbon, whatever. And so you're like, yeah, I'm a boot. Yeah, I'm not a real Marine. I haven't ever seen combat. You know, and you're beat down into that. And then what does everybody ask you in the real world? Did you ever go to Afghanistan? Did you ever get in conflict? And you're like, nope, sure didn't, but I sure trained for it. And they're like, oh, you know, thanks for your service. And it's like, I just want to raise awareness of it, because I'm not comparing us to Marines who took someone's life and that it has to go home and you know, raise a family and go on with their life. I understand that's a whole nother level of challenge, and I'm not by any means comparing myself or us or Marines who have not been in combat to that, but it should be talked about. It should be, we should talk to someone or talk it out amongst each other, because we were training for that and it never happened. It's like, imagine getting ready to do a show for 4 years and the show never goes on. And, you know, I'm not asking for a pat on the back or sympathy, but I think that it does kind of affect you, you know. What are your thoughts on that?
It sucks.
Yeah.
That's a good way to boil it down.
Yeah.
So, you know, and it's like you said, you sign up to do something and then you don't do it. And you feel like you weren't part of the club. And, you know, civilians, and I get tired. I know they have good intentions, but I get tired.
They always ask.
No, it's not even that. It's like, well, you got lucky.
Oh yeah. Oh, thank God.
Thank God
you never had to go to that.
You don't know how lucky you are. And it's
yeah.
As a civilian, I understand that thought process, but it's like, no, I'm not lucky.
Yeah.
Because now I feel like I never earned it. I don't feel like I didn't earn that uniform like my combat veteran brothers.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, those guys are the real heroes. And, you know, it makes me feel like every time it's Veterans Day or Memorial Day and people come up and thank me for my service, it's like, I feel like I didn't earn that. So it does. It's awful.
We have that. And that's what, you know, again, I'm trying to kind of raise awareness out there, because I think that frustration, not unpacked, leads veterans to go out here and become homeless, to commit crime, to do things, to lose their values, and just be kind of frustrated, maybe take it out on their kids, or never really experience life because they're just sort of bound by that, or they feel inadequate. And, you know, I don't know how to fix it. I don't know how to say anything, because you have to train for war, and thank God we didn't have to go to some extent, you know, but I think the best thing is to at least realize and say, you know what, I was there to train for it, and it didn't happen, but I was on the watch for it. You know, I was.
Yeah, I mean, we were there. We were ready to go.
Yeah.
You know, Obama pulled us away from Syria.
Oh gosh, I was going to talk about that. We literally had rounds in. I mean, they weren't condition 1, but they were in, and we were on the border of Syria and Jordan, and we were going in for like Eager Lion. Was it Eager Lion or something? We were going to
No,
it.
we were going to the Seychelles.
No,
And we turned the
yeah,
boat around.
Oh, yes, yes.
We turned the boat around. We were
yes,
heading to Syria.
They announced it, and they're like, we're going in to get refugees out, and we're going into a dangerous area, and we're going to have rounds, and you know, it's an area of conflict. So we were, I think, just by going in, we would have got our combat action ribbon.
I mean, it's hard to say, but
maybe not.
Like, it got stripped from us, that opportunity.
Yeah.
Some people, and this might even be offending some combat veterans who are like, no, you guys don't know what you want. Like, you don't know what you're asking for.
Yeah.
And, I'm not trying to upset them either. It's just, it's...
No, but that's the frustration. That's the frustration, because
is.
we are sitting here right now and saying we don't rate. We don't rate, and we didn't do it, and it got that. But it's like, that leaves an emptiness, that leaves kind of like a, I don't know. It's a hard thing to get grasps on sometimes. And I think the first 100 civilians asking you, did you go to Afghanistan? Did you go to conflict? Did you ever get in any, danger? It starts to weigh on you, you know, it just starts to weigh on you. And, so yeah, I mean, I just want to bring this up to say, if you're a veteran out there and you're experiencing that, there are others. And I think it's important to find other veterans and, maybe talk about it and, just realize that you were there, you punched in your time, you earned the title, and you did the thing, and you were ready, but it wasn't, in your layer of...
It wasn't God's plan.
It wasn't God's plan. It wasn't God's plan. And so take comfort in that and move on. What do you think the closest we ever got to combat? Now, we talked about when we were outside of Syria, but I think when people ask me, how real did it ever get? I tell them the story when we were outside of Syria and we're going to go in. But for me, do you remember the brief we got from Captain Reeby on the ship where we were going to do guard duty on the Suez Canal with the 50 cals?
Yep.
And he said, there's going to be people that want to antagonize our country, and they're going to have mounted guns on boats, and they're going to come towards the ship, and at the last minute they're going to turn around because they want to get you, they want to provoke you, they want to start an international incident, and you will have a direct line to the captain of the ship. And there are people on both sides with AK-47s, and if you're fired upon, you have to request permission from the captain to return fire, because this is like the most realist moment for me ever, because he said, if you think your life is worth an international incident, then you are effing wrong.
Yep.
I'll never forget that. We were in the well deck of the ship, and that was like, it got really real for me there. And of course, I had one of the duties, and it was pretty much harmless. I mean, there wasn't a lot. There was some sketchy people that definitely...
I was on the 50 cal on the back of the flight deck.
Yep.
There's pictures of it.
Yep. And that was a crazy time on ship. Just happy to be on this end of it, and it's been a great life experience.